Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. We've got another Scream update for you. We'll probably have a lot of Scream updates between now and filming, I'm guessing. But as you know, obviously Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega are no longer part of the Scream franchise, but we'll not discuss that anymore for now because we've already discussed that. Now it seems that the writers of Scream 5 and 6, who will be writing Scream 7, are going back to the drawing board, and it looks like they're going to be trying to plan Scream 7 from scratch and completely reboot. I don't mean remake, but reboot the franchise. That would mean, or would possibly mean, that Chad and Mindy and Danny will no longer be part of this new storyline that they will be writing. It sounds like they still want Nev Campbell and Patrick Dempsey to reprise their roles as Mark and Sydney for the next film. So it looks like they're going to try and rework those characters into this new reboot, which would make sense because fans were starting to like Sam and Tara, and it seemed like a majority of the fans in the franchise were going back to Scream 7 for those characters because we were built up to those characters and we were starting to like them. But because they're no longer part of it, there's no reason for us to see the film without knowing or loving a character that's going to be in it. So it would make sense for Sydney to return. Somebody posted a comment to me yesterday saying, well, it doesn't matter who comes back. We only watch the movies for Ghostface and we root for Ghostface. And it made me think, I'm like, do you know what? That's not true. And I didn't really think of it until that person said that to me, because if you look at a film like Halloween or Friday the 13th, we sort of root for the antagonist. We root for Michael. We root for Jason. But in the Scream films, we don't root for Ghostface. And I think one of the reasons is that we don't root for Ghostface is we know that whoever's a Ghostface in this film is going to die, and we'll get a new Ghostface in the new Scream film. So we don't really need to root for Ghostface, hoping that they survive and we get another Scream film, because we know how it works now with the Scream films. The Scream films are very different from the other big franchises. In the Scream films, we root for the protagonist. We root for the good guy because it's character driven. It's a character driven movie because each film, Ghostface Killer has a motive for killing or trying to kill the protagonist. So we get to know the protagonist a lot more in the Scream films than we do in other franchises. The reason I'm bringing up this point is because if they are rebooting the franchise, Scream 7 is going to have to reintroduce Sydney or introduce a new set of characters. And it does take time for us to love or like these characters. If you look at Scream 5, they were all completely new apart from the legacy characters. So it took us time to like characters like Sam because we didn't start liking her really until Scream 6. So bringing in new characters so late in the game, they're going to have to make us like them straight away or sign them up for a couple of movies so that we can start to like these characters over time. As it stands, Christopher Landon is still the director of Scream 7. That's not changed. It may change in the future if he decides to leave the project, but as it stands, we've still got the same writers and we've still got the same director. I don't know if it's going to be set in the snow anymore or going to be filmed in Canada. The release date's most likely going to change as well. I hear that they've got a release year of 2025. I always assumed it would be late 24. Especially if they've got the script finished and they're going to start filming soon. But I think it's ultimately going to be pushed back to 2025 now if they're going to be reworking the script. Nobody wants a half-hour script for a Scream movie. Nobody wants a script written in 30 minutes. I think they need to take their time with this script now. Find out who they're going to get back. If they're going to get Sydney back, they need to find out straight away so that they can start working the script. There's no point in doing a script with Sydney in mind and then Nev Campbell decides, I'm not coming back because of money reasons or because of what they've done to the previous cast. If you can do that to someone like Melissa Barrera, then I'm sure they could probably do it to Nev Campbell whenever they wanted. And I know that Nev Campbell knows this. So if she comes back, A, she needs to get paid a lot of money, probably more than what she asked for Scream 6. And B, she needs security knowing that they're not going to fire her because I don't know, she loves children or she is nice to elderly people, you know, they can't sack her for those reasons, as she needs security knowing that that's the case. I've had time to sleep on the news, I've had time to think about it, and I think there's two ways you can go with this. I don't think you can bring back Sydney and bring in new characters. There's no way you can do that. Yes, you can bring in new characters, but make them side characters. Keep Sydney the main character. So if Nev Campbell's coming back, it needs to be focused on her. It needs to be focused on Mark. And that's the one storyline that you have to go with. You can't branch it off. If you don't get Nev Campbell back, and if Sydney's not the character or the main character, don't bring her in at all. Just bring us new sets of characters with new issues and new ties to the new Ghostface. That's the only way you can do it. You can't have it both ways. That's why Scream 5 didn't work with Sydney there, because you tried to focus on Sydney and you tried to focus on the new characters, and it just didn't work. So you need to give us either one or the other. It also makes me quite sad that they were building this whole Sam and Tara arc up with Billy Loomis. Billy Loomis was the father of Sam, so Sam was a very integral part of the storyline, not just for the new Scream films, but for the previous Scream films as well that she didn't even feature in. So it's quite a shame that they were building us up to something that isn't going to happen now, because we were going to get her mother eventually in Scream 7 possibly, and that would tie us back to Billy Loomis. Maybe she would have been connected to Billy Loomis in some of the previous murders in the previous films, but that's no longer going to happen now. If you look at a character like Kirby, what's going to happen with Kirby? She didn't die in Scream 6, and she's sort of a legacy character because she was in Scream 4 and also Scream 6. So is Kirby going to make a return as well? And how prominent is her role going to be if she's in there? Because she's connected to the old and the new characters, so she could bridge the gap, but at the same time, you don't want her coming back just to introduce us to new characters, and she can just be the token legacy character in there. It's not going to work. She needs to be focused on, or not at all. We also run the risk of the Sydney character becoming stale. Is she going to be chased by a new Ghostface that has no random connection to her? Or is she going to be chased by a Ghostface that has a deep connection to her like the previous films? You run that risk of rinse and repeat, and you don't want that. And I think that's why they tried to sway away from Sydney to begin with. It worked for a period, but at the same time it didn't work. So the writers have got some task on their hands. What are they going to do? Is Sydney going to be involved? Is it going to be new characters? Previous characters coming back? There's so many options that they're kind of spoiled for choice, but at the same time they need to be careful with what they're doing, because they've already pissed off the fan base just now over the past 48 hours with what's happened. So they're going to have to do something big to make us watch it again. Now, I know that I didn't say I wasn't going to watch Scream 7, and for those of you who said you aren't going to watch Scream 7, I'm sure as you're a fan of the franchise, you will cave in and you will watch it. But just by watching Scream 7, and just by me watching Scream 7, doesn't mean I don't respect Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega's decisions in doing what they're doing. I absolutely respect them 100%. But as a fan of the franchise, I'm obviously still going to cover the franchise, and I'm still going to be watching the movies in the future. That's just what we do. But I won't forget what they've done. I'm sure you won't forget what they've done. It was a bad thing. That's all I can say. It's a bad thing with what they've done to Melissa Barrera. But we have to get over it at some point, and I'm sure she will as well. She's already made a post about it over the past 15 hours or so. But we must move on. She's no longer part of it. Jenna Ortega's no longer part of it. What's next for the Scream franchise? So personally for me, I would like to see Sydney come back. Don't know if Nev Campbell wants to, but that's my choice. I want Sydney back. Leave your comments down below, guys. Let me know what you want to see happen. And if you don't want Sydney to come back, and if you don't want new characters, what do you want? Don't say you don't want a new Scream 7. Let's pretend you do. What do you want to see in Scream 7? Leave those comments down below, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.
Meeting adjourned.
Be right back!
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever play Skin the Cat? Someone's in the back! See?